Swami Vivekananda says, it is all good to talk about this. He says, from my childhood I've heard that all is God, but it really is not helping so much. What is the problem? As we go out into life, a few knocks, then all is God is forgotten. I go out into life and there's a man approaching and I think, here is God coming in this form, and he punches me in the nose, figuratively or verbally or whatever, or really. And all idea of God goes away, and the blood rushes to my head, and I retaliate with 2 punches. So what happened? What happened to all this is God. Shankaracharya, in his introduction to the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, is one of the most profound essays on Vedanta. It's called Adhyasa Bhashya, the commentary on superimposition. There he says, practically speaking, even he says, those who are well versed in Vedanta, in day-to-day action, he says, Pashwadi avisheshat, there is no difference between them and animals. And then he gives an example. He says, as a cow, harita trinapurna, if you take green, juicy grass and hold it in front of the cow, and the cow is attracted, it comes to eat the grass. And then he says, danda udyatakara, with a raised stick, if you threaten the cow runs away thinking it's going to be beaten. Exactly like that. Temptation and tribulation and trials. Most human beings are attracted towards what it seems at the moment pleasant and nice, and scared away by what seems terrible and scary. That is samsara. It's because of ignorance. What Vedanta says is a very high ideal, but just because it's a high ideal does not mean it's false. It's true right now. Does not mean it's impractical. It's practical right now. Swami Vivekananda says it's a high ideal. And then one of his famous quotes, which we have quoted often, it's in this lecture. He says, if a man with an ideal makes 10 mistakes, a man without an ideal will make 50,000 mistakes. It's always better to have an ideal, the higher the better. Pursue it. He says, this Atman is to be heard about, reasoned about, meditated upon. Shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyasitavya. Again and again, tell yourself, read about it, hear about it. These highest truths. That's why so many Upanishads and so many texts are there. If you get bored, the same Isha Upanishad again. All right, here is the Kena Upanishad. Here is the Chandogya. Oh, I've read all the Upanishads. Here is the Bhagavad Gita. And then there are so many texts. And this truth is found in the core mystical traditions of all religions all over the world. So, hear about this again and again in 100 different ways. Sing about it, talk about it, express it in worship, in philosophy. Think about it, reason it out. And once you have got clarity, live. Not just meditate upon it, try to live life according to it. And what seemed difficult and impossible at first, very soon, it becomes much easier, and giving great joy as it becomes much easier. You don't have to wait until you become a Brahmagyani, enlightened person, liberated while living, Jivan Mukta. No. Even before that, to the extent that we practice, to that extent we are saved. Sri Krishna says, Swalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Even a little practice of this teaching saves one from great fear. Saves one from great fear. That monk I told you about who said, whether you know it or not, whether you accept it or not, you are Rama, the one in the Himalayas. He was sick, he was old at that time. And they called a doctor. Now this monk, he is a huge, well-built Punjabi, and he was overweight at that time, and he was sitting in this chair. And the doctor comes and says, Swami, what do you eat? You've become so fat. And the monk replied, I'll tell you in English and then the original Hindi. He said, the doctor was skinny. The doctor, I eat up all my worries and tensions, junk food, so I'm fat. And the worries and tensions are eating you up. You're so scared. In Hindi, actually he said it in Hindi. डॉक्टर साहब, हम चिंता को चबा जाते हैं और चिंता आपको चबा जाती है. There's an old Sanskrit saying, chinta means anxiety, worry, tension. What is worry, tension? In Manhattan, you're surrounded by it all the time. That's the staple food here. There's an old Sanskrit verse, chinta chita iti samakhyata. Chita in Indian languages means the funeral fire. When a Hindu dies, the body is cremated. So it says, anxiety or tension is called a funeral fire. Chinta chita iti samakhyata. Chinta chitatopi adhika. Tension or anxiety is worse than the funeral fire. Chita mritam hi dahyati. The funeral fire burns up the dead. And you know the rest. Whereas anxiety burns up the living. Jivitam hi dahyati chinta, dahati chinta. So I burn up all anxieties. This is the result. This is the result of this. Swami Vivekananda, he quotes from the 6th and 7th mantras. The one who sees all beings in one's own self. Everybody is in me. And I am in all beings. I am in all beings. Atmanam sarvabhutastam cha atmanam. And doing thus, two results come. The word vijugupsati in Sanskrit has two meanings. One is does not hate. Cannot hate. Literally, how can you hate? You can never hate your own children. They're very close to you, the closest. And here, these are your very Atman, your very self. So they are one with you. There's no question of hating. Another thing, another meaning is does not protect. So there is no desire in the enlightened one to protect this single person. We devote so much of our energy, first of all, to physical protection of this body. Why? I am this one. Can you really protect it? No. In the Bible itself, who can with all efforts, add one day to one's span of life? Grass of the fields, here today and gone tomorrow. That's our life. You cannot protect it. Jesus was absolutely on target when he says, those who try to save their lives, they will die. And those who give up their lives for me, they get eternal life. What does it mean? He speaks in that language, but the meaning is very clear in Vedanta. Those who give up their life for me means what? You commit suicide? No. You realize that Brahman alone is their reality. My own reality is Brahman, not a body. Let the body go, nothing to me. It will go anyway. Then we seek not only to protect the body, but to protect our personalities, our egos. We seek to protect our image. Psychoanalysts know this. A great deal of psychic energy. Freud noticed it, Jung noticed it. A great deal of psychic energy is used to present a facade to the world. What I think of myself and what I want you to think of me, to present that, I put a lot of energy into it. One sign of enlightened persons is just the opposite. They really do not care what you think of them. Not that they have a contempt for you. They are absolutely full of love for you. And what you think of them, they're perfectly all right. They really don't think of themselves. There's a funny story about Ramana Maharshi. Somebody wrote an article criticizing him and sent a copy to him. And Ramana Maharshi read through it very carefully, corrected the grammatical mistakes and spelling mistakes, and sent it back. Somebody said, but he's criticizing you, Maharshi. And Ramana Maharshi said, no, he's criticizing some fellow called Ramana. He's so impersonal, he has no connection with this. No question of trying to protect oneself. Well, it sounds like a terrible way of living. That's the most wonderful way of living. Most wonderful. You will see the great freedom, like an enormous burden falls off your head. When you, in devotion, you put it at the feet of the Lord, or in jnana, you say, I am one with the Lord. What can kill you? What can harm you? Let the world say what it will. The world is nothing but you. Let them say. What will they think about me? Don't worry, nobody really thinks about you. People are really full of their own lives. Once in a while they may think about you, not much. Neither the praise of the world is important, nor the criticism of the world is important. So, this oneness, where the entire world becomes the self, the universe becomes the self. Tatra komoha, what delusion is there? Delusion means, I am this much, that is different. Samsara and I. No. It is oneness. Tatra komoha. Kashoka. Where is suffering anymore? Where is sorrow? Where is the sting of sorrow and suffering? It's all gone. For whom? Ekatvam anupashyata. The one who sees oneness here. We are all one divinity everywhere. Swami Vivekananda, in his talk, he says, this is the great teaching of Vedanta, this oneness of all existence. All is one existence, and that one existence you are. So this is to be realized.